totally fine.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, but Andy could not be here tonight, so he asked me to say a few words. I'm not going to talk about the Carolina jasmine blooming next month, but he wanted me to mention that the Native Plant Project is preparing for spring sale. We would like volunteers to meet and pot plants from 1 to 3 p.m. every Friday at the Native Plant Nursery on Little Neck Crossing at the Boatyard. No experience is required, but we would suggest that you bring your gardening gloves. I also wanted to mention we're going to do something different in the Nature Center. Next Wednesday, we will have a concert at the Nature Center. It's going to be Nathan Meltzer on violin and Thai Zhang on guitar, who have performed in some of the world's greatest concert halls. They probably never imagined that one day they would perform in our nature center, surrounded by native creatures of the low country, with the snakes and the turtles quietly listening in. So that should be a blast. And one more thing is that I got a call literally about a week ago that a lady named Anna Vidovic, who was born in Croatia and is considered to be the #1 classical guitarist in the entire world. She hardly ever comes to the United States, and I was told, and I have to believe it, that she's doing a private event for Larry Page in Florida. So the bottom line is, if she's coming here to do a concert for us, it's going to be in Douglas Paul's residence, because I found out that his living room is as big as Bailey's. And that's going to be on the 22nd, I believe. Anyway, I would like to turn this over to somebody who doesn't need an introduction, and that is Tammy Randall.
Good evening, you all, and let me just tell you how proud I am to see this room filled with everybody wanting to know more about the movement and exercise. It just makes me feel like we're doing something right over there. So I know you hear this from your physician, especially I know Dr. Lafitte shares this, and I'm sure if anybody works with anyone else, they're also going to tell you that movement is really a key to longevity. And those of you who work with me and who work over there, you guys know that we really push that a lot. Yes, so it's great to have this forum to capture your all's attention and to bring in these wonderful experts to help me preach this to you all and preach this doctrine. So I had a great opportunity during my tenure here and during David's parents' time as members of Spring Island to work with Mr. Smith. And he would always tell me about his son and his expertise. And I just thought, gosh, you are so fortunate. And I would tell him, you are so fortunate to have this key to the fountain of youth right here at your disposal. And so I did get to learn a little bit about what David was doing through his father, who, if any of you knew, I mean, he was pretty amazing physically, definitely intellectually. And so you can see that that it really, what David is doing is working well. So we are thrilled to have him here with us. I hope that you all take something from this, and then let us do whatever we can to help you find your key to longevity through movements. And it is a great pleasure for me to introduce David Starbuck Smith.
Hello, everybody. It sounds like the mic is working. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you, Tammy and Michael and the Trust for bringing me. As Tammy said, my parents lived here for about 7-ish years, and last week they moved to Colorado Springs. So don't ask me why. I drove in here, and it's one of the most beautiful places. You know, it's such a pleasure. I mean, it's just a gorgeous place. And I signed on to do this talk probably in last October, where my parents were here, and then all of a sudden they bail. So, what are you gonna do? My name is David Starbuck Smith. I do a lot of things, but for the last 25 years, I have treated people with chronic pain. And I've written a few books, which I'll talk about at the end. But I have a journey that I want to share with you, and I think maybe some of you might be able to relate to. Here are my parents, by the way. Just some of you might know them. I threw that picture in last minute, just in case you recognize Bruce and Andel. Yeah, you can tell everyone says you are your father's son. So I hope what you're going to learn today, the two biggest causes of aches, pains, and injuries that most people aren't talking about, that many doctors and many health practitioners know about but don't often talk about, and they are up to us to solve ourselves. And we're gonna dive in deep with them, and we're going to go over some of the myths and scapegoats of pain. We have been told a lot of things around in our lives about why we have pain. And we're going to dive into some of those, and we're going to debunk some of these things and demystify what pain is really all about for most people. And then finally, I'm going to give you some tools. I really want to impact you as much as possible. I want to give you some tools that you can use anytime, anywhere, to get yourselves out of pain and to start to feel better. And of course, the idea is to stay active for as long as we can until our last breath. So this talk is all about helping you stay active, helping you stay energetic, and of course it's about longevity, but it's about feeling good and really enjoying your body and enjoying your life. There is a fundamental truth that we all hold, and that is when you're healthy, you have a million dreams. When you're sick or unhealthy, you have one. Right? I think we can all relate to that. Everyone here, I'm sure, has had some kind of chronic pain. Who is currently suffering from pain at the moment? Raise your hand. Yeah. So it's common. And this book, the talk that today is about a book that I wrote last year called Align, Feel, Heal. And it talks about chronic pain, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and my journey and how I got here. I was a tennis player. I played tennis at UC Berkeley. I played in college. I was the top recruit for the number 3 team, full ride athletic scholarship. And right about the time that I signed, I started to get back pain. Strange, right? How does back pain pop up out of nowhere in an 18-year-old? Well, I'll tell you why in a minute, but I'll never forget my first week at Cal. We were training, we were running around the track. The tennis courts are situated right next to the running track. And as I started running, I got about halfway around the track when my lower back locked up and spasmed and dropped me to the ground. It was like someone kicked me in the back and I dropped. And it would be about 30 seconds at a time before I could breathe again because the spasm was so intense. And it would let go, and then it would grab on, and it would let go. And after a couple minutes, it started to ease up, and I got up, and I started to run again. I mean, no one said I was smart. They just said I was a jock. So here we go, right? We're told that push through the pain. So I did. But that was an everyday occurrence for me. Back spasms, back pain for literally almost 10 years. And here I am trying to play Division I college tennis with pain, and then I turned pro after my junior year, and now I'm trying to play professional tennis hampered by a back that gets stiff by the second set, that is almost spasming by the third set. And that's difficult. As you know, at any level, playing at any level in pain in any sport is not fun, but especially when you're trying to be the best in a sport. And my goals were to be the number 1 tennis player in the world. I didn't even get close, by the way. But I got close enough. I had a world ranking. I beat the number 2 player in the world. I beat the number 1 player in doubles a couple times. So I had some good wins, but I had a lot of bad losses. And I'm just going to blame it on the pain. Okay? That's not really true. There's a lot that goes into it, as you know. But I looked everywhere to find a solution for my pain. I went to doctors, I went to trainers, I went to therapists, I went to all the health practitioners I could. When I was in Berkeley, the doctors and therapists told me, back pain, stretch your hamstrings and strengthen your abs. Has anybody heard that before?
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of the standard treatment for, you have back pain, this is what you do. Well, I could palm the ground without a problem, and I could do 1,000 sit-ups easily. So I knew that that wasn't the problem. I knew that there was something else that was missing. Something that they weren't telling me, or something that maybe they didn't even know. But what I knew for sure is they didn't really understand why my back hurt. If we're all getting the same exercises for the same pain, and only some of us are getting better, then why aren't others getting better? Why isn't everyone else responding? Why wasn't I responding? Well, that became my journey. That became my destiny, is to figure out why I was in pain, to find a solution for the spasms, for the nerve pain going down my leg, for all the stiffness, all the aches, and the poor performance on the court. I wanted to solve that. And I wasn't getting help from the traditional model. So eventually, my sponsor on the Pro Tour said, you have to see this guy, Pete Egoscue. Has anybody heard of the Egoscue method? Yes. So Pete Egoscue was in the military, had been in the military, and he had been shot in the hamstring while they were on patrol, medevaced out. Long after that, he still had pain going down his leg. And he went to the doctors, and they said, well, we don't see anything wrong with you. We think it's in your head. And Pete didn't like that very much. And so he kind of went on a similar journey and thought, I have to solve this, I have to figure this out. And he noticed that, just picked up an anatomy book, he noticed that the right side of the body looks just like the left side of the body. And this is where it started. And so when I went to Pete, Pete told me, he said, I'm ready to quit. I'm frustrated, my ranking's dropping, I'm not playing my best. And he says, well, yeah, you're only playing up to maybe 20% of your potential. He said, give me a month, and let's see where it goes. So I dove in. I'm going to tell you these exact techniques here as well, so you can do them too. I dove in, and about 2 months after I started, I was playing a $1 million tournament in New York, prelude to the US Open, and it was a doubles tournament, and I beat the #1 doubles player in the world, won $75,000, and had the best tournament in the week of my life. So to me, it was an aha moment, not just because I was feeling better, but because I was playing better. And I think many of you might resonate with that if you're tennis players, pickleball players, golfers, walkers, hikers, joggers, if you swim, right? Anything you do athletically, it helps if our bodies go along for the ride and support us rather than fight us. So what I noticed is that first thing I noticed and the first thing I was taught is that my body was a little out of whack. I was a little out of line. I was misaligned. Especially my back, my hips, all these things, it was wonky. And I'm going to show you what that means right now. So normally I have people kind of stand up or sit, but a lot of you are holding drinks. So I won't ask you to do that. What I will ask you to do is sit comfortably in your chair and close your eyes for a second. And we're going to test how balanced you are. And we're going to relate that to some pain in a minute. So as you close your eyes and as you're sitting there in your chair, I want you to notice, does it feel like your back is hitting the chair equally? Or does it feel like just one part of your back? The left side or the right side, or the top or the bottom? Does it feel kind of equal pressure in your chair? And now I want you to move your awareness into your hips. Does it feel like your hips are sitting equally into the chair? Or is there more pressure on one hip than the other? And if you're standing, notice if you feel like you're standing on both feet equally, or there's more pressure on one foot hitting the ground than the other. And now I want you to look down at your feet. And I want you to notice, Do both feet, are they pointing straight ahead? Is one foot turned way out? Is one ankle or knee crossed over the other? Now, there's nothing wrong with any of this, by the way, but they're signs. They're subtle signs of imbalance. And what I want you to do now is I want you to scoot forward towards the middle of your chair so that you're not leaning in the back. I want you to walk your feet forward so your ankles are directly underneath your knees and feet about fist width apart. And I want you to turn your feet straight ahead, which might feel pigeon-toed to some. And while you're in the middle of your chair, I want you to roll your hips forward like you're going to create a little arch in your back. So you're going to sit up tall, but use your hips if you can to induce the motion. Now I want you to do one or two things depending on whether or not you're holding something, specifically wine or something like that. I want you to put your hands at your sides and grab your chair behind you, or if you can't do that, just place your hands on your glass or hold it up. If you're holding the chair, I want you to sit up tall. I want you to take your shoulder blades and squeeze them down and back. And I want you to hold that. Squeeze them hard, squeeze them down and back away from your ears. Roll the hips forward again, squeeze forward, squeeze those shoulder blades back again. And if your palms are up in your front, just squeeze your shoulder blades back and hold. And now I want you to take a deep breath. And then let it go. Now I want you to roll the hips forward more and squeeze your shoulder blades back even more. Take another deep breath. And then exhale and squeeze your shoulder blades back even more and hold just 5 more minutes. Let's go 10 more seconds. Just squeeze those shoulder blades back. Hold that. And now relax. And now get yourself settled again. Sit comfortably, however you like. And I want you to notice a couple things. Number one, I want you to notice your energy right now. How many people feel a little more energized? Yep, and that's because we engage the muscles of your body. We engage your hips, your spine, your shoulders. We even engage your feet and your knees at the same time, even if you didn't feel it. So we got blood flow going. And it's funny because activity begets energy. Giving up energy actually begets energy. That's how our bodies work. So when Tammy was talking about movement, yes, movement is crucial for many reasons, but first because the more you move, the more energetic you are. Your body adapts. Next thing I want you to notice is I want you to notice as you're sitting there, I want you to notice now your back and your hips. Notice if you feel more evenly centered on your chair, more evenly weighted. Notice as you lean back if it feels like more of your back is hitting the chair than before. Anybody notice a difference? Yes. Now if you don't notice a difference, it doesn't mean there's no hope for it. It just means we have a little bit more change and work to do, which we'll get into. And I'm going to give you a couple exercises, all of you, that you can do anytime, anywhere. I'm going to give you a link as well to a video I have. I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I have a YouTube channel that gives free exercises, and you can do these anytime as well from there. So the question is, what is posture? My specialty is posture. I had a clinic in San Francisco for 15 years. I worked with the San Francisco 49ers for 2 seasons. I've been doing this for over 25 years, clinically for 20. And I look at posture. And when I look at posture, I look at some very specific things. But I want you to think for a second, if anybody wants to throw out, what's your idea of posture? Does anybody want to? When you think of posture, what do you think of? Yes, ma'am.
Balance, the French idea of,
Balance?
yes, of like hanging from a,
Everything just kind of falls in line. What else? Sitting up straight. What else? Yes, sir.
Stand tall.
Say again?
Stand tall.
Stand tall, yeah. And most people think, when they think posture, we're taught kind of what our mother told us, right? Stand up straight, pull your shoulders back,
yes.
right? Yeah, I'll never forget my grandfather said, stick your chin up, stick your chest out, right? So I apparently didn't have very good posture as a kid. Posture is more than just standing up straight. It's more than just sticking your chest out. In fact, I'm going to tell you not to do that. It's more than just squeezing your shoulder blades back. I'm going to tell you not to do that too all day long. Posture is actually about some very specific things. It's how your body stacks up. It's how our bodies stack up. And specifically, you see this picture here. The shoulder joints, our shoulder joints are designed to be level. Now, I say that they're designed to be level. This is our anatomical design. This is anatomy. This is not me saying this. This is every anatomy book on the planet. Shoulders are designed to be level. Knees and feet are designed to point straight ahead. Hips should be level. We should be balanced right to left. Now I know what you're thinking. Who is that? Who looks like that? Well, there are some people. And from the side view, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle should stack up, and we should have this little S curve in our spine. So you can see this little curve in the back. It curves down, and it curves the other way. Back up for the cervical spine. Does anybody know why the curve in the spine is there? Why isn't it just a straight rod? Does anybody want to guess? Impact, absolutely. So the curve in the spine helps for cushion. It helps absorb cushion as we sit, as we stand, as we walk, as we run, as we play tennis, as we jump. The curve in the spine actually acts like a slinky. It bends. It provides shock. And of course, you have discs in the spine that also do the same thing. Why else would it be curved?
Structure.
Structure. So each vertebra, there is about 2 degrees rotation of each vertebra, which allows for rotation. Structure, the skeleton holds us up. But the spine, the curve in the spine allows for that shock absorption and also allows for us to twist, turn, move, bend, forward, backwards, all the things that we do. And by the way, we do all these motions. We forward bend, we laterally bend, we bend backwards, we twist. We usually do them all at once. Does anybody here play golf? Right? Think of golf. You're bending forward, and now you're rotating, and your spine is extending. And as you go here, now you're back bending, and you're laterally flexing, and then you come through the other way, and now you're rotating, extending, and laterally flexing again. So the spine is an incredible thing, but your posture is going to dictate the function of your spine. Now, what do I mean by that? I invite you to do something for me while you're sitting there. I want you to I just want you to sit up as tall as you can for a second. And I want you to raise your best shoulder, your best arm straight up overhead as far as it goes. And just notice how high you get it, notice where it's at. And then go ahead and put it down. Now, I'd like you to take your upper back, round your upper back forward and your shoulders forward, and hold it there. And then raise that same arm up and see how far you get. It changes, right? Now, obviously it changes, but why does it change? It's the same shoulder joint. You're bent over, and specifically, all you did was you changed the position of your back. You changed the position of your shoulders. And when you change the position of your body, of your shoulders, of your spine, of your knee, of your hip, of your foot, you change the function of your body. So shoulder function, you raise your arm straight up overhead, no problem. You round your back forward, arm raises up and gets stuck. Goes about 3/4 of the way or less. And you change your posture back and all of a sudden it moves again. How many of you have been told that your shoulder pain or your back pain or your hip pain or your knee pain was due to the position of your shoulder, hip, knee, and back? Raise your hand. A few. It's not common because we're taught to look at the pieces and parts. We're taught in the health world to look at if your knee hurts or your back hurts or your hip hurts, look at the knee. Look at the back. Now, that's not necessarily wrong. Let's figure out what's going on. But we're missing the bigger picture. When I was working with the San Francisco 49ers, a player came to me he had just had ACL surgery several months earlier, and he had this bend in his knee, and he still couldn't play. But he's doing all the strength work, he's doing all the things, but he couldn't play because as soon as he started running, as soon as he started moving, he felt uncoordinated. He felt weak. And even though they had solved the ACL problem and they had strengthened the muscles around the knee, they still hadn't connected his knee with the function of his hip, with the function of his spine, with the function of his shoulders. His shoulders were still sitting here. His upper body was still rotated here, and that hadn't been solved. In other words, the very thing that put stress on his knee to begin with, that predisposed him to injuring his ACL, still hadn't been solved, even though the ACL was better. So I gave him a couple upper body exercises to untwist his body, which twisted his hips back to place, which rotated his knee back in place. And now the knee is functioning the way it's designed to function rather than twisting and turning. And within 3 weeks, he was back on the field. Now, this is not tooting my own horn. This is just saying that we're not taught to look at the body as a unit. We're taught to look at pieces and parts. So when we're looking at any pain you have, and I'll invite you to throw one out there, we can talk about how that part integrates with the rest of the body. Because nothing moves in isolation. Everything is connected. The body is a unit. And that's what we're going to drive home more than anything. And by the way, do you know the one group that is perfectly aligned?
What?
Children, kids. Many of you have kids and grandkids. And between the ages, they start walking to right before they start sitting all day long in school, they stack up perfectly. Ear, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle align. There's balance between the front side of the body and the back side of the body. They twist and turn and move when they bounce. I mean, you all know it. They fall on their head and they get back right back up. Hey, no problem. We don't do that as well as we get older. And that's okay. We don't have to. But we are designed. If you want to know what our body is designed to do and how we are designed to stack up, look at your kids. Knees and feet point straight ahead perfectly. Now, when we're talking about aches and pains, I'm going to make you all posture experts. And I'm going to make you posture experts so that we can you can tie your own aches and pains, injuries, into posture for a second. So, as you look at this woman right here, what do you see? What's her posture telling you?
Her knees are locked.
Okay, and we'll talk about that. Left arm is lower than the right, yes. You see her left
Shoulder,
hand.
left shoulders are coming down.
Right shoulder, left shoulder. Do you see her left hip higher than the right?
Yep.
So we've got one shoulder that's out of alignment. We've got a hip that's higher. What do you think this does to her back? That shoulder dropping lower, that hip going higher.
Not good.
Do you think it compresses this side of her back? Where might she have pain? One side of her back. One side of her neck. One shoulder that's not functioning the same. Now I'm going to give you a hint because I know this woman very well. It's my sister. She had hip resurfacing in her right hip. Now, when we have imbalances, they can show up anywhere, but they're almost always, when the imbalances are right to left, meaning one shoulder lower, one shoulder and forward, one foot turned out more than the other. When the imbalance is one hip higher or rotated, we have imbalances right to left, we have one-sided pain. Neck kinks, a shoulder that's not functioning the same way, herniated discs, bulging discs. Bulging discs are due to two things. One is getting tackled by a 300-pound lineman. Or some kind of traumatic force. Falling off a bike, car crash, something that traumatically impacts your spine. That's one thing. The other thing is always, and this is the most common thing, imbalanced pressure on the spine. And that means that our spinal columns are designed to be stressed equally right to left. And as long as they're stressed equally, we have no problem. The discs stay in place. Now, just for a little anatomy background, we have vertebrae, which are the bones in the spine, and then we have discs. I want you to imagine a balloon filled with water, in between two bones. Those are our discs. They're shock absorbers, cushions. And now I want you to imagine a spine that's perfectly stacked, and as it's perfectly stacked, it compresses that balloon equally, and the balloon bulges on all sides symmetrically. Now, I want you to imagine that balloon is not compressed equally, and one side is compressed more than the other. Well, we all know what happens then. The balloon bulges to the opposite side. That's our discs under imbalanced pressure. And when a balloon bulges, when that balloon bulges to one side, when that disc bulges to one side, then it can hit something called the sciatic nerve. Anybody heard that one?
Oh, yeah.
The sciatic nerve is one of two nerves that run down your spine, or it's not down your spine, down your leg. The sciatic nerve is the biggest nerve, the longest nerve, goes from your 5 lumbar vertebrae all the way down to your feet. The other nerve is the femoral nerve. And the femoral nerve really just comes in and innervates the top 2/3 of your thigh. And that is often impinged by a disc, but it's often also impinged by something else, another muscle in your hip. But for our purposes, the idea here is to understand that back pain, one-sided pain, disc bulges. Does anybody have disc bulge or disc herniation? Anybody had back surgery? Yeah. So when the back surgery, they go in and they shave off the disc that's bulging, right? Are they solving the problem?
Yes.
Hopefully they're solving the pain.
Yes.
Yes. But are they solving the imbalance that created it? No. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get the surgery, by the way, because as many people will tell you, sometimes it's the best thing to do. Sometimes it's the easiest and fastest way to get out of pain. But oftentimes, in my clinic, I would see people who had surgery, they feel better, thank goodness, but pain is popping up in other places, in their shoulder, in their neck, in their knee, in their hip. And I'm telling them that it's the same ultimate underlying problem in most cases, which is this imbalance right to left, which is what you see here. And it's solvable. That's the good news. What do you see here?
Wow.
Yeah. So shoulders are rounding forward. You see the hands sitting in front of the body. We see the back of the hands rather than the thumb and the forefinger. So we get this rounding. Where might he have pain?
Shoulders.
Shoulders for sure. How about neck? Yeah. Lower back, definitely. And now I want you to imagine with this gentleman rounded forward, as he tips forward like that, it changes where the center of gravity goes and can compress the front of the knee. Right? So now you have, again, we're looking at a system that's just a little out of balance. Very solvable. But this man had knee pain, and I realigned his shoulders, or he did, I showed him how, and the knee pain went away. What about this one? Right shoulder. What about our right foot? You see that turning out more?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a situation. This right knee actually points out more. There's more, we call it valgus stress, which is more knock knee on that right side.
Pronated.
Yeah, pronated. Good catch. Okay, so this is another similar thing to my sister, which was we have one-sided pain and lots of imbalance. Her particular pain was in her left foot. And the reason it was in her left foot is because despite her right shoulder dropping, she was carrying all her weight on her left side. You can actually see this tendon right here working super hard. And that's the sign that she was overloading her left side, working way too hard, and that foot was taking the brunt of all her weight. No wonder it hurt. Let's see if we can get this one. Now, in that picture I showed you earlier of the side view, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle should all stack up on this red line, which is the line of gravity. Where does it miss? Hips are forward everywhere. Yes. I put it on his, I extrapolated, it would be on his ankle joint, and we go straight up. And you can see, yeah, his whole body's forward, but particularly it misses his head entirely. Now, I chose this picture on purpose because this kid is in college. So I just wanted to point this out because what you have to understand is this is not an age thing. This is not posture and imbalance. It has nothing to do with age. And there are lots of things that throw us out of whack. One-sided sports. Hello, tennis player. Hello, golf. Now, that's okay. We can play one-sided sports. Every time I play a lot of tennis now, I come back and yeah, my shoulder's a little lower, my hip might be a little rotated. We won't get into why that is, but it has to do with just repetitive motion. Years of playing, but a couple exercises and it gets back into place. You don't have to be perfectly aligned to be out of pain. You don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be kids again. But if we are in pain, or if we're looking to avoid injuries, aches and pains, nagging things that come up, then one of the things we can do is begin to balance our bodies just a little more. And a little bit goes a long, long way. Just changing this woman's shoulder position will take pressure off her back. Just changing her hips so that they're more balanced will take pressure off her hips, off her foot. Right? So little things make a big difference. But we have scapegoats of pain, right? I love this little goat. First one is age. We blame age a lot. And the problem with blaming age is a couple of problems. One is that, well, let me ask you this. How old is that other knee that feels good? And that foot and hip and the other side of your back and so on. So age gets a lot of blame, and I just have a new book that's coming out called Back Pain Solutions for Seniors. I talk all about age in the book, but also in the Align, Feel, Heal book. It's the problem with age, other than that it's often inaccurate, is that thankfully we're aging, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? So it takes the power out of our hands to do anything. So if we look at age a little differently and we say, okay, there are lots of people my age that don't have the same pain, and also my other knee is the same age, and my other foot. So age is often a scapegoat that usually is not the real answer. Genetics. I hear this all the time. Woman came to me, said with her ankle was in pain, she was on crutches, she could barely walk. I said, what's the problem? She says, well, the doctors say that I strained a ligament in my ankle. I said, well, why do you think that happened? And she said, because my dad has tennis elbow. What? It took me a minute, and then I got it. I said, got it. She believed that because her dad had tennis elbow, he had weak ligaments and tendons, and he passed them on to her, which is why her ankle hurt. So I had her put her hands behind her head, pull her elbows back, and walk, ditch her crutches and walk. And I asked how her pain was, and she said, it went away. Why? And this was the whole point. Why would it go away? Because we changed the alignment of her spine, which changed the alignment of her pelvis, which changed the position of her leg bone, which changed the pressure on her foot, which started to roll out, and she felt better. And now she's running and hiking and climbing and doing all the things that a 23-year-old should be doing. So the point is, genetics is rarely also the case or the cause. And also our bodies are adaptable. So, just because our parents are our parents, we can often change our bodies, always change our bodies because they're adaptable. Arthritis. Arthritis is another scapegoat. We're taught to believe that if we have arthritis, it's something we have to live with forever, and that's usually not true because arthritis is really, arthra means joint and itis means inflammation. Inflammation of the joint. Now, inflammation of the joint is created by two bones, upper leg bone. Let's take the knee, for example. We'll talk about the spine in a second. It's the same principle. Upper leg bone, lower leg bone. They're supposed to stack and compress each other equally. As soon as you change the position of one bone, Take the upper bone, as we saw in the woman earlier, where her knees were knock-kneed, or you rotate it, you change the pressure of the joint. That creates friction in one spot, which wears away some of the cartilage. And now you have arthritis. Arthritis is most often, in the case of osteoarthritis, is an alignment issue. Solve the alignment, you can take away the irritation and the friction, and you will feel better. Next one, lack of core strength. I won't get into this too much, but let's just say that the idea of core strength for most people are your stomach, your abdominals, right? Strong back muscles, strong stomach muscles. And core strength, I'm going to tell you right now, is about balance. Think of kids. Kids don't do 1,000 sit-ups. They don't do push-ups. Kids walk around and they're strong as little oxes. And that's because they're balanced. Their body's working together as a unit. When your body begins to work together more as a unit, you'll have all the core strength you need, and then definitely keep working out. Keep exercising. Because as you build up strength, as you build up balanced strength, then that's how you will go a very long way to avoiding injury and to reclaiming your health. Finally, overuse. Again, I get this all the time my ankle, knee, hip, back hurts because I ran most of my life. And my question is, well, were you running on one leg? No. Of course, we're running on two legs. So overuse is an overused excuse. Overuse just means that the body was misaligned, or that part was misaligned and then was overused or used. And eventually it caused pain. So again, it comes back to balance. I want to touch on something, and I'm going to tell you a quick story. Because we talk about posture and misalignment as one of the causes of pain. But there's one other thing that I really want to impart to you. And that is something I call PEST. Postural stress plus emotional stress equals pain. A woman called me not long ago, one of my neighbors, said, "David, I can't move. My back is totally locked up." And I said, "Okay." She said, I can't come over. Can you come down and see me?" I said, "Sure." So I walked out my door, walked 3 houses down, knocked on the door. She opens the door, and she's bent over like this. And I said, you don't look good." And she said, "Tell me about it." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" She said, "Well, on my back, it's totally locked up. I can't move." So I put her on her back with her legs up, which is an exercise I'm going to show you in a second, a must-do for almost everyone here. And I asked her a question. I said, "My friend, tell me what's going on in your life right now." And she said, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it." And then all the drama came out. "I'm getting sued by a former employee for wrongful termination. And the lawsuit just hit, and it's total BS. And I'm freaking out because it took me 20 years to build up this company. And what if I lose my company? And what are my employees going to do? They're not going to have jobs anymore. And oh my gosh, my 6-year-old daughter, what are we going to do for money and paying the mortgage?" And she just went on this spiral, right? And I said, "Okay, take a breath." So she breathes a little more. And I said, "Let's analyze each one of those." And as we went over each one of her fears, we were able to dispel all of them. If she needed to start a new company, she would. If her employees would find other jobs. Her family, they had plenty of money, and we're going to run out of money. And what finally did the trick for her was when she let go of fear, but also when she let go of control. She finally said, "You know what? I have no control over what happens." And when she did that, she immediately felt better. By the time the session was over, she was about 80% better, and within 3 days, she had no pain. So, events in our lives, stressful events, moving, like my parents just did when they moved to Colorado Springs last week. Don't ask me why. Why would they leave this place? Moving, relationship issues, kids, grandkids in trouble and distress, work deadlines, right? We all have these things, and then when you add all our life things to outer life things, politics, world events, things that feel out of our control, things that are bothering us, things that really upset us, things that make us feel powerless to do anything about. Imagine, and then add past trauma in there. And now you can imagine that emotions play a tremendous role in how we feel. And every single client I've ever had who had a back spasm or had sudden pain, who suddenly found themselves injured or in pain, every single one had something going on in their lives at the time that threw them out of balance. Now, you resonate with this probably more, knowing that when you overdo it, you get sick. Right? Who can relate to, I just burned a candle on both ends and I wore my body down and I'm sick? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Because our bodies require energy to maintain our immune systems. Well, our bodies require energy not just for immunity, but also to maintain our muscle mass, to maintain our muscle strength. And every single emotion you feel, happy, sad, scared, betrayed, joyful, despair, every single emotion that we have has a chemical that corresponds to that emotion. They're called molecules of emotion. You may have heard of them. Hormones and neurotransmitters. Now, neurotransmitters are precursors of hormones that come from our brain. Neurotransmitters and hormones are called the molecules of emotion by a woman named Candace Pert, who first discovered the opiate receptor. These neurotransmitters and hormones touch every single cell, every single organ, every single tissue in our entire bodies. So that when we are emotionally depressed, we are energetically depressed, our immune system deregulates, and we are more predisposed to injury. But stress in general, emotional stress in particular, creates increased blood pressure, increased muscle contraction, right? Muscles grab on for fight or flight, ready to move, ready to run, ready to hide. And again, as muscles contract and they get tighter, as we get tighter, we become more predisposed to injury. So, emotional stress. Question I'll ask before I give you some tools, and then we'll get some questions, is what's the one emotion you avoid at all costs? You don't have to say it. I just want you to think about it. Because emotions are energy in our body that play out, that need an escape. Our emotions need a physical escape. Why do you think you laugh? Because we find something funny, the emotion builds up, and we express it in a laugh. Same thing with crying. We're sad, it's emotional energy, it's expressed physically via tears, crying. Every emotion you have needs a physical expression in some way, especially the larger emotions, and emotions are cumulative. So I ask, what's the one emotion you avoid at all costs? That's the emotion you probably want to feel. And I'm going to give you a way to do that. Because our emotions play such a significant role in our lives and our bodies, there's a really easy way. And this is the first tool I want to give you, which is, number one, acknowledge the feelings. Anybody heard of emotional intelligence?
Yep.
Great concept, only half the battle. Emotional intelligence is wonderful because you acknowledge and recognize the emotion, but you have to feel emotions. You can't intellectualize an emotion. It's the other side of the brain altogether, and emotion is an energy that you can't intellectualize away. So acknowledge the feeling first, emotionally intelligent, and then feel it. Take a minute, take 5 minutes, and close your eyes and feel it deeply. And it will always, always pass. Always. If you feel it and if you let it. And it's an energy. And as the energy moves through you, you clear a path. That's the emotional tool. This is the physical tool. And you're going to love it. It's just lying on your back with both legs up 90 degrees. Has anybody done this already? Fantastic. How many people are doing it every day? Not good. Come on, everyone. 5 days a week. Now, why? This exercise, great question, 5 to 10 minutes. If you need to put something under your head, do it, but only if you need it. And make it comfortable so your neck doesn't hurt, and eventually you won't have to. This exercise is realigning your spine. It's taking the rounded shoulders and the upper back, and it's using the gravity and ground as reference for straight to align your back. It's balancing your back out right to left. Top to bottom, right to left. It's retraining your spine to be equal. Repositioning your shoulders, repositioning your hips. It's the one exercise I would give the world. Well, one of 3. So 5 to 10 minutes a day. Legs up 90 degrees, scoot all the way, relax everything, palms up out to your sides. Now, to get this exercise and others, if you have a phone, grab the QR code. Or just go do David Starbuck Smith on YouTube. And I have a quick posture reset for anyone who wants to do it.
This is day 1 of my husband doing Tai Chi walking workouts. This is day 21 of my
I hear Tai Chi. Okay, and if you need this again, I'll bring it back up.
Tai Chi walking workouts.
More tools. I have 3 books. Back Pain Solutions for Seniors isn't quite out yet. It's out in about 3 to 4 weeks. I've given Tammy, the QR code here is from my website. Align, Feel, Heal is what this talk is based on. My first book was called Ageless, Painless Tennis. So if you are a pickleball player, or a tennis player, or a golfer, Ageless, Painless Tennis is your best book. And I have another QR code. If you missed this one, I've got sheets, and Tammy has handouts as well. I'm going to self-promote shamelessly. I'm a speaker. I travel all around to speak. I love doing it, and I have lots of topics. I usually talk to groups and executives about leadership and things like that. But I do a lot of retreats as well. So if you have somewhere you want me to speak, I'd love to. And thank you very much. Questions? Yes, sir.
So we're all different heights.
Yes.
How do you regulate that 90 degree?
Cushions.
Okay.
Use your couch or ottoman, line your back, use cushions to regulate the 90 degree. Good question. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
What about sleeping position?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. How should I sleep? You should sleep in the most comfortable way possible, first of all, because you want to hit deep sleep in REM. So your body will automatically find that position. Now, a lot of people are told not to sleep on their stomachs. I'm a stomach sleeper. I have been my whole life. It's the only way I get deep sleep. Okay? And so, but as you retrain your body, as you rebalance your body even a little bit, then sleeping in a lot of different ways will feel more comfortable. Because a lot of people will find that they have to sleep on their sides. Some people, right? In order to be comfortable. My wife is like that. She's most comfortable on her side. But because she's just not comfortable, definitely not comfortable on her stomach, and not comfortable, she's fine on her back, but side is her best way. Find your best way. That's the answer. And then as you balance your body going into sleep, you'll feel better. And by the way, this is how it works with activities as well. We don't get injured because of the activity. You don't get injured because you're playing golf and you hurt your back. That's not why you got injured. It's the body going into the activity. Specifically, the imbalanced body going into the activity that most often creates the injury. It's an accident waiting to happen. Use this exercise, the static back exercise, and it should help you. Sorry. One sec. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
If you have flat feet, how does that affect your body?
You tell me. How has it affected you? Yeah, so I asked that for that reason. Kids often have flat feet at first. We're born with flat feet. Our arches develop from stimulus. Some kids and some adults have flat feet for life. It doesn't have to affect you. I've got friends that have flat feet, but it does change the compression on the foot, which changes the position of the knee, which changes the function of the hip. So you don't have to have pain because of flat feet, but you do want to do everything you can to maintain foot strength. If you are comfortable doing it, walk without shoes as often as you can. If you're comfortable. Yes.
So I'm going to sound like I've explored a lot of things, which I have.
Yeah.
You mentioned Pedescalgu.
Yeah.
And our son is a hedge fund trader. David Sarno did the rounds of that.
John Sarno?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it John?
Yeah.
And Esther Goclay
Yep.
from the Bay
Esther
Area.
Goclay,
with
yep,
the-
I know
with the
her.
controversial anterior pelvic tilt. Lately, I tried PRI that said the foundation
Yep,
of
Posture
posture
Restoration
is
Institute.
from the jaw and the dental bite, which I happen to believe, but also the inherent asymmetry of your body organs, which sounds kind of California-esque, but
I hear
it
you.
might be true. And so if those were come to Mecca moments, then there would nobody needing to listen to you. So people are out there needing a system
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah, so she's asking basically with all these, there are now more and more people and organizations talking about posture. Posture Restoration Institute is one. The one thing that's difficult about a lot of posture work is that often it takes someone to look at you. I wrote these books so that you can look at yourself. There are tests, self-functional tests in the books that you can use on your own, by looking in a mirror. And by doing a few tests, and based on what you find, you can address your own imbalances. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think of chiropractors? Like, so I
Yeah.
go to a chiropractor every once in a while, and he always says, you're out of line. And then
Yeah.
he does this bang, bang, bang. And
Okay, so she said, what do I think of chiropractors? Because she goes to a chiropractor and he always says, or she always says, you're out of line. You're out of alignment. And I love chiropractors. You have to remember this thing. I mean, it's a similar philosophy, right? Alignment. But as soon as you go back to your daily life, you have muscle memory. We have muscle memory, which means we're doing the same activity, sitting in the same chair, driving the same car that we do every day. And these habits pull us back out of alignment, and we need to go back to the chiropractor, right? We need to change the muscle memory. So I used to work with chiropractors. They would take pictures of their clients, they do the adjustment, they take pictures. I would send them exercises right off the bat so that they could hold their alignments better. So I think chiropractors are great. I think that if it's not holding for you, then we need to change the muscle memory. Yes?
So how do I align my posture with scoliosis?
Yeah, so scoliosis, first of all, you can have scoliosis and not have pain. Right? You can have scoliosis and not have pain.
Correct.
Right, so it's important to know that scoliosis does not equal pain. But enough change over time, enough imbalance over time can begin to wear on you. You can change it by just, like I said this earlier, you don't have to be perfect to get out of pain. You just have to be a little better. Just a little better. Yeah, just a little more balance.
So I studied a little bit the Alexander technique
Yeah.
for a while.
Right.
And I thought that helped, but then I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
There's the trough technique. Trough.
I don't know that one. But with scoliosis, there's always two things. And the one thing you should focus on, and Tammy can probably help you with this, and other trainers, is one shoulder always gets frozen compared to the other. One shoulder blade doesn't rotate the same way as the other. Focus on liberating and one hip always in the other. But I guarantee if you have scoliosis, one shoulder isn't functioning the same way. So you want to realign that shoulder, get the function better, and then work on balancing those hips. Yes, ma'am.
What about yoga?
I love it.
Love it.
My wife was a yoga teacher. Yoga's fantastic.
What method?
Up to you, whatever one you love. Yeah. Here's the great thing about yoga. Our bodies require stimulus. Our bodies require stimulus, full range of motion. Shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles need to move. Yoga is a great way to do it. Dancing is a great way to do it. Tai Chi, stretching, movement classes. Right? There are so many ways to move your body, but you want to move it as much as you can. And I'm so glad Tammy touched on this earlier because you need to move it as much as you can, as often as you can. That's what keeps us moving more and keeps us young. Yes?
What about Feldenkrais?
Feldenkrais. Yeah, great way to connect to your body. Great way to develop your kinesthetic sense, meaning that connection, your ability to move different parts of your body and to liberate some parts that were frozen. So, great one. Yes?
What's the most effective way to get rid of forward head tilt?
Forward head tilt.
Yeah, that's huge.
Forward head posture. Yes. So, forward head posture is due to two things. Our hips always follow our head. Sorry, our head always follows our hips. Our head always follows our hips. Our hips represent our center of gravity. Center of gravity is right just above your hip joint. As the hips sway forward, the head will go forward to line itself over the hips. So you don't just do neck exercises for your forward head. That's a bad idea because you'll just be fatiguing the muscles that are already over fatigued. We have 10 to 12 pound heads. You guys probably have 13 to 14 pound because you're really smart. But as the head moves forward, the muscles of the head and neck grab on to hold our heads up. And as soon as that happens, we get neck pain, we get headaches, we get migraines, we get lack of blood flow, we get brain fog. But most people treat the forward head. We need to address the forward hips, and most importantly, when the hips go forward, the mid and upper back begins to round forward as well. You have to realign the mid and upper back to reposition the head. I used to do this all the time on stage. I would pull someone up with neck pain or forward head posture and have them stand there, pigeon toe their feet, push their knees back, and roll their legs in slightly. And their head would realign, and their neck pain would go away. Now, I chose people that didn't have really locked up thoracic backs. I chose someone who I knew that as soon as their hips realigned underneath them again, over their ankles and under their shoulders, their head would come back. So 2 things, realign the hips, realign the mid and upper back. Yes?
Why is it that when older people okay, we're talking about the head goes forward, they round their shoulders and they stop swaying their arms when they walk?
Yes, great question. So there is as soon as you start looking down, as soon as you start losing balance, you will start looking down. And balance, the new book, Back Pain Solutions for Seniors, I have exercises for balance in there. But as soon as you start losing your balance, you start fearing you're out of balance, and that's your body's way of saying, by the way, that your body is not working together as a unit anymore. Forget weakness for a second, because most people think that if I'm losing balance, I got to strengthen my hips. Yes, do that. But what's really happening is that your body, your thigh muscles, your hamstrings, your glutes, your lumbar extensors, the muscles in your stomach, they're not working together as a unit anymore. And as soon as that happens, we look down in fear for our balance. And as soon as we look down, the upper back rounds forward, the trunk flexes, and then something interesting happens. We go like this. The shoulders pull up and back. And as soon as you pull your shoulders up and back to brace, to keep yourself from falling forward, your shoulder locks down and your arms stop swinging. Does that answer your question? Restore your balance, open up your hips again. It's more complicated. Get your shoulders moving. Yes?
What was your most memorable moment as an athlete?
As an athlete, playing the, I'm trying to think. I'll tell you the most memorable moment, not what you think. I was playing in St. Louis. I was in the 3rd round of a big tournament, and I won the first set, and I sat down on the changeover, and I looked over the non-existing crowd, and I thought, what the heck am I doing? And at that moment, I knew I was done playing tennis. I got on a plane 2 hours later, flew home, and changed careers. That's my most memorable moment. Now, I think you meant...
Not the answer I was hoping for.
I know. I'll give you a better answer. I was playing as my first time playing at Stanford. Stanford was the #1 team in the country. Stanford has a massive tennis stadium. And I was a freshman playing against the #1 team in the country. And I'm about to serve. I'm the first one serving. And all I can think of is, oh my God, don't let your team down. Don't let your team down. Don't look bad. So I serve, and the ball, my racket, hits the ball on the side. I shank the ball out of Stanford Stadium. Twice. The first and second serve launched. I was playing baseball in a tennis stadium. That is a memorable moment. I did have some fun wins, but I had a lot of memorable losses that you probably don't want to hear about too. So. Any other questions?
One more maybe?